All right.
Hello. Hi. Hello, everyone. I guess I'm not sure how to introduce this. This is a brand new segment, right? But welcome. It's the Wick and Omar show, for lack of a better term. Maybe an Omar and Wick. We'll negotiate that in post, right?
So,
But yeah, we're trying something different today, at least for the 6 o'clock hour. So the 6 to 7, what we'll be doing is talking with the lovely Chris Speaks about issues of the day. We're going to talk about red pill shit. We're going to talk about politics shit. We're going to talk about all sorts of shit. It'll be fun conversation. It'll be free flowing. Gang, if you're watching this on YouTube and you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Twitch and you want to support me, hit that follow button. Throw some subs and bits my way. If you're on Kick, do the same. Hit that follow button. Throw some subs my way. I don't know if they have bits on Kick. I'm not sure about Kick, to be honest with you. But we got this for 2 hours, and then at 8 o'clock we're switching it up, and we'll be doing something else. But hi, how's everyone doing?
hey, I'm Omar from the Third Rail. I'm here auditioning for a show with Wick here. Let's hope it goes fine. This is our first pilot. You know how it is when you have the first comedy show, whatever it take. We don't have the grease yet. We're not greasy yet. Takes a while. Then we hope it's going to work, and we're going to entertain you for the next hour. And like he said, support the channel, support Wick. He's a good guy. Throw some donations or anything. I'm good. I don't need anything. But I'm all right though. Thank you.
Oh, hey, we don't got the grease, but we'll get the banger questions going. I promise you, gang. I promise you. Chris, how are you?
I am doing all right. It's quite late over here, so I apologize in advance if I'm not going to be yelling at the top of my lungs. But I do have neighbors, and I'm trying to be responsible at least a little bit. But yeah, to those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Chris. It's spelled Krys. I go by Chris Speaks on Twitch. I talk about all sorts of things, usually with some gameplay in the background. My sort of forte when it comes to topics is less so foreign policy and more so like red pill relationships, how not to go through life as a fuck up. And I understand that's rich coming from a VTuber, but it is what it is. Some of us want to keep anonymous and just have any profile picture sucks dick. So here I am and happy to be here.
All right.
Well, I guess we'll start off, right? As I told you in before we went live on my end. Um, so I've been following this Oppenheimer and the Barbie discourse at all. What are your
Yeah.
Oh
thoughts
yeah,
there?
Barbie, absolutely. Oppenheimer I haven't watched, nor do I know if I will. Barbie I've seen yesterday with my girlfriend, and I
Oh
spent the
yeah?
first 2.5 hours of my stream today taking on Shabibo's fucking review of that movie and just
Well,
ripping it to
I
pieces.
guess I'd first. Omar, did you see it?
No, I didn't see it, but I saw the reaction from the right. It was a stupid reaction. It has nothing to do with the movie. It's a fairy tale. It's a toy. It's a girl toy. That's what it is. I used to play with Dolly Barbie when I was a kid. I mean, they just made a big deal out of it. Ben Shapiro, the fake, the grifter of all grifters, he burned the doll. The movie made $163 million. So all that reaction was for nothing from the right. Like I told you, moving targets with empty pockets. They have nothing to offer anybody. Just Dr. Seuss, Dr. Dad, the M&Ms, things that don't don't feed their base or give them real nutrition to work on politically. You understand? Just false promises. That's all it is.
Interesting. So I haven't seen Oppenheimer yet, to be clear, but I have seen Barbie, and I want to talk about it. And Chris, since you're here,
Absolutely.
I
I
want to talk
want
a
to jump
little
into
bit
it.
about it
Yeah.
with you. And
I haven't
Omar,
seen Oppenheimer
we're gonna
either,
talk
so
about it, and we I won't give too many spoilers, right? So you can go see it with your family after, and hopefully it won't be too bad. I honestly think this was better, much better than I expected. It was a lot deeper than I thought it would be for a Barbie movie. Um, I got the impression that it was very much kind of a sneaky pro patriarchy movie in a way, right? And
Yeah.
it's I won't give the game away, right? But it was, I guess, an allegory for how a matriarchy or a patriarchy is probably a bad idea and probably going to cause a lot of problems. but I again a lot deeper than I expected for a kids movie. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's possible to have this conversation without spoiling the fuck out of the movie. I will try to move forward with not just giving out everything, but I can't promise that much because it's difficult sort of to talk about the themes and what happens without like just spoiling the shit out of the plot line. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. But yeah, I think that the movie, broadly speaking, was just okay. It was all right. It's nothing quite to write home about, but at the same time, what makes it as good as I think it is the amount of people that were outraged at like just being pathologically incapable of understanding relatively simple themes that can be seen in a movie. Like people losing their shit over something that is being spelled out to you on the screen is pathetic. Like if 9-year-olds, or well, I suppose it's PG-13, but if teens can pick up the messaging, you as an adult should as well. It's a bit pathetic.
But don't you think that the right I didn't watch the movie, but I get the gist of it. Don't you think the right wing like lost? I mean, they have nothing to offer anymore, just reactions to country music songs, Barbie, whatever, things that don't make no. I always say that it's all about just reactionary action. Oh, Barbie is this, Barbie is that. And I did hear some people say that she was anti-fascist, right? I don't know. I was listening to another podcast, whatever it is. But is it really political? I mean, a girl. I mean, who's the
Oh
audience?
yeah, it is. It is
It
very,
is?
very much political. Yeah, but
Oh,
like
okay.
the issue that you have is that when it comes to pundits specifically, like both left and the right ones, or the ones on the right, rather, I should say, they follow the trends, right? And like trends are dictated by what people enjoy listening to or talking about. Like there's a reason why Shabibo talks less about foreign policy now and talks about Barbie and makes like a cool video of where he burnt it. It's because nobody gives a fuck about foreign policy, but we do want to talk about Barbie. So like it makes sense. Like, I don't know. I'm not really taken aback by the fact that, like, yeah, people have agendas to push, people have audiences to pander to, and some people come at this with already their opinions, like, very solidified, and then they watch a movie and ignore the bits that don't suit the narrative. But yeah, the whole thing is just, I don't know. I guess it's just weird because I don't know. I don't much know what to say. I don't quite understand, like, how you can watch a movie which ends with making it pretty clear that like matriarchy didn't work because half of them were fucking miserable. Patriarchy doesn't work because half of them were fucking miserable. And now we need to try something in the middle. And your takeaway from that is that, yes, this drives the chasm between the sexes and we need to end children so that they can never witness this.
Okay, I'm gonna steelman Shapiro a little bit here. Sorry,
yes,
gang.
Stillman. Yeah, I'm sure it's just Stillmaning. It's not just
It
your
was-
conservative thoughts.
it
Yeah,
was-
give it to me.
I mean, it obviously was a boys versus girls movie. It obviously was. That was the whole thing. That was the surface level kind of. That was the mechanism by the vector by which they brought in all those deeper subjects, right? About matriarchy and patriarchy really don't work. It was boys versus girls, literally. I don't think it is going to be disastrous, and I don't think any 10-year-old, 9-year-old, 13-year-old child going to see the movie is going to come out of it thinking men are my men or women, or boys or girls, or my mortal enemy and must be destroyed. I don't think that's going to happen, but when it talks about being a gender war movie, it absolutely was, right? Yeah.
I mean, sure, but the messaging like throughout is like almost painfully obvious that like their differences are both similar in nature and also leads to like no positive outcomes. Like I would even argue, because again, I don't want to spoil too much, but like Ken has probably a significantly more fleshed out arc than Barbie does. And like the conclusions that he arrives at as well is that like if he overcorrected too far in one direction where now he's in control and Barbie has his shit, like he's fucking miserable throughout it. Like, sure, it's a Barbie movie, right? It's a Barbie franchise. I'm going to assume that there's going to be a lot of girl power moments in it. And like, that's okay. I went into it understanding that. But I don't know, like, I'm a white, straight guy living in Poland who's bald and pierced. And I walked into that theater, sat down, watched the movie with my girlfriend, walked out, and I didn't particularly feel like my masculinity was infringed upon, or I didn't feel like the other ladies in the theater are now dead-eyeing me. You know what I mean? Like it was an all right movie.
I want to ask you guys who are pro patriarchy in this. I am.
Patriarchy? You're
Yeah.
pro patriarchy? Okay,
Yeah.
give us the argument for pro patriarchy, Omar. What do you
Well,
think?
I mean, me as a person, I think men should have a bigger role in the household, and I'm very suspicious. I don't want to go through deep. I think that women were taken out of the home from by corporate America because they wanted to fill up the job market and make it cheaper. Because if you see a man in the '60s, he was able by himself to buy a home, have a car in the garage, send his kids to college. The wife is home and is on one salary. Now, after the movement, the '70 movements, feminist movement, whatever you want to call it. I know I'm going to be to the right to you guys. I'm sorry, but this is really how I feel. Um, Now you got the father and the mother working. 43% of households don't have $500 in the bank. So what's going on over here? Did the feminist movement really work? I mean, was there really any equality, or was just a way to lure women out of the home for cheap labor at that time because maybe they didn't have enough immigrants, whatever? And they took the woman out of the home, they put a pants on her, and who's raising the children? TV, the streets, Google, or Netflix. Nobody's raising the kids. That's why you have these generation gaps, all this problem in
So,
our society.
If I can just if I can
Please.
tackle that one, I want to say that like when it comes to like the whole point of women being taken out of the home by corporate America being bad, like that's not a woman thing. That's like an economy thing.
Yeah.
And like feminism absolutely won because feminism didn't crash the economy. It's just, and this feels cringe to say, but it's just capitalism doing capitalism things. And even if you want to look at it in like a very micro level, like feminism absolutely played a fucking humongous role because if I use myself as an example right now, if I didn't have the split income between myself and my parent, I wouldn't be able to move in. We wouldn't be able to move in together, and like odds are I'd be fucking dead. Like it's shit, sure. Like shit in the sense that like it's not that like we want to work, but we have to work. But like this isn't like a feminism or a men versus women thing. This is just economy being fucked up.
Don't you think that corporate America and the media took out purposely brought these women to the workforce and diluted the job market? And as you can see, like wages, they've been stagnant for the last 40 years. People, the dollar was worth more 40 years ago than it is worth today, and there was only one household. So what I'm trying to say is that as a societal, from a family point, because I'm a family man. I got 6 kids. My mother lives with me. We live on the same house. We own, I'm a generational home. That's how I was raised, and that's how I raised my kids. But when I see the United States here, women were brought into the market just for wage worth, and you said you need to split the income to survive. There's a problem here. Why?
I mean, sure, but the problem that we bump into is that like this level of analysis at the end of the day like ends up being completely useless because this isn't something that like we're not going back on any of this. We're not taking back like the contraception. We're not taking back women like back into the household. We're not taking their rights away. That cat's out of the bag, and whether you like on an individual level like it or dislike it, there is fuck all that can be done about it at this point. So like, the question is, how do we move forward in a more healthy manner rather than like those were the days when women stayed at home and took care of the kids, and I could just work.
We need to strengthen the man. The man has been emasculated in society right now. You have all this. It started with the inner child. You got to get the inner child out of you. You're emotionally. You have to become more feminine. So the man is no longer that strong force or the alpha individual in relationships and in the workforce. So if you can see, 80% of suicide is by males compared to females. 30% of males between the age of 18 to 29 have not had sexual relations in 1 year. So you have an issue here. They can't get any women. Women are available. The market is available, but many cannot have any relationship because the way things have been. I don't know how to explain it.
yeah, but is that feminism's fault though?
Yeah, they are
I
feminine.
don't think it is. I don't think it is. I think if I may interject here,
Yeah.
I just I see the problems that you're looking at, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't deny that they are problems. We have rising loneliness rates among men.
yes.
Deaths of despair are rising above both men and women, to be clear,
Mm.
are killing themselves more than they were
Yeah,
10
but
years
the
ago. Um,
80% is male.
I understand, but it's
Yeah,
still rising, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's the numbers on both sides are going up.
Mm.
I will say, right, that there are problems, but I don't think feminism is it. I think feminism um, is it's not perfect by any means,
But
right? But it
Rich,
is
what do you think about the male, included today's male? How do you view today's
today's
male
male. I don't
within your
Well, if I
conversation?
can just
Yeah,
if I can jump into this,
I'm
so
sorry.
like what's emasculating men, I feel like nowadays more than anything, is still having strict gender roles that we increasingly cannot conform to because of like the state of the economy. I cannot be a single breadwinner. Not cannot in like this fancy abstract sense. I mean, I literally do not make enough money for that. I cannot be the valiant masculine defender of the house because I live in like the most peaceful time ever. There's no one trying to fucking break in. Like I am safe, you know what I mean? And like constantly there are these standards, and the red pill is to be blamed for this to like a big extent as well. Because if anyone in the red pill spaces ends up having a hobby that isn't like directly resulting in having more money, then they're being like called gay and being poked to like there's something fucking wrong with them. And if we want to talk about like the men's side of this and the responsibility, then like, yeah, sure, by all means. For example, every census that we ever do, like year by year, women are more and more willing to date down, economically speaking. And yet when that happens, we still hear by and large that they're still expected to do majority of the housework because men we haven't gotten to the point yet where we have grown up apparently enough to like take it upon ourselves to start doing shit that isn't just a pure sign of masculinity. I feel like the world is shit in many ways, but it's not shit because of feminism. It's just like economy is what it is. And if you want to be a masculine guy, that is still very much possible, but you have to pick and choose the battles that you can win. You can hit the gym. You can look like an absolute fucking Belgian blue of a man, okay, walking across the street in a tight tank top, looking like a fucking monster. But like realistically, if you're a kid fresh out of college and you want to look into having a relationship, you can't be a single breadwinner. You're going to have to cook for yourself. You're going to have to do some chores. You're not going to like, you're not allowed to be a fuck up anymore for that long. Women have been taught for the longest time, it feels like, that like once they live on their own, they have to be able to do everything to survive on their own. And I don't know that, I just don't know if men have been taught that. I come from a single parent household, and even my mom, by and large, used to, like, is very much of like the conservative opinion that it's my girlfriend that should be doing the vast majority of the housework, which is fucking weird if you consider the fact that my girlfriend makes twice what I do. So, like, she's making most money here. She's also supposed to take care of the household. Like, what do I do other than hit in the gym?
We see the problems that let me use me as an example. I'm going to age myself. I'm 43 years old. Been married since I was 18. My wife has never made a dollar in her whole life. She's always been a housewife. My kids always been raised home.
has she ever wanted to? If that's not too personal,
No,
like has
no,
she ever
no,
expressed
no.
interest?
She's confirmed to our mental patriarchy. She knows that I'm the husband, and that's what her role was. Because we're very conservative. See, I'm socially conservative, but politically liberal. But what I'm trying to say is that
That
I
is a
was
rare combo.
yeah, I was able to learn the English language, go into business, support my mother and father. My father died. I still have my mother. I got 6 kids, and I'm the breadwinner. But I feel like I'm not trying to say like the alpha male. We're not protected against tigers or lions and things of that nature. But the whole idea that man in the United States and Western society has been, he doesn't have even access to the sexual market. You got the incel movement. You got loneliness. Even with all this openness, with all this over sexualization of our society, I think that male should be. We should strengthen the male role in society, or try to give them a voice in it instead of just diluting them with bad ideas of your inner self.
We
Your
can
good.
no, I agree with giving them a voice. I think everyone deserves a voice, and
Yeah.
if like I also get annoyed, right? When every time I try to bring up an issue that affects men, people are like, "Well, what about women? Women have it worse. Women are this, women are that." That annoys me. I understand that. I get that. But the answer to this isn't to attack um femininity. It's not to kind of enforce kind of a masculinity. It's simply this is let people speak their truth and speak about what they feel and what they think, and not try to make it into a contest or a game. And I think that is the failure. If we want to point to why men are struggling, femininity isn't the issue. Feminism isn't the issue. It's social media.
Yeah.
Social media has emasculated men.
Video games.
It has made them whiny little bitches like Ben Shapiro who burns dolls on a screen because they're mad, right? And instead of going out and doing what is needed and taking responsibility to make the changes in their life that they need to make. I think that is the core of it. We have lost the ability to take responsibility for our own situation and for our own actions. And that more than feminism, more than anything like that, is why men are struggling, because they're looking for someone to blame, but they can't play the blame game. They have to just work with the hand they're dealt to the best of their ability, and we have to give them the tools to do so.
Well, it's more than sorry, it's more than that to a certain extent, right? Because I feel like, look, broadly speaking, and I don't want to sit here and like suck my own dick because that doesn't get us anywhere. But like, I feel like I'm probably at the happiest in my life right now than I ever have been, like ever before. And I talk about red pill stuff and like red pill adjacent debates and all of that bollocks, like a relatively large amount in my channel. And like, I can't tell you how many times I will have like a random chatter hop on in, or like just a random red pillar try and like absolutely like do their best to ridicule the fact, for instance, that my girlfriend makes more than me, which is bizarre because I don't quite understand, like in a day and age right now when men are struggling as much as we are, I don't like the fact that other men will use every opportunity they have to try and tear you down so that they can make themselves seem relatively taller, even for a split second. Like, putting arbitrary barriers between yourself and happiness is the weirdest fucking thing ever to me. And if we want to move forward in a healthier direction, it would be nice if we understood that if we have certain vision of masculinity, it doesn't mean that everyone has to conform to it. And it doesn't mean that I have to like bring that vision down on every single fucker I ever talk to.
All right. I'm going to ask you a question. You know, my personal question is okay?
Yeah, by all means. I mean, if you ask something that I can't answer, then I'll just let you know that like I don't want to answer that. I'll just fire away.
When do you pay the bills? How do you pay them? 50-50? Oh, she paid 60-40?
We pay relatively to how much we make. So like she makes twice what I do, so it ends up being like I cover more or less 33% and she covers 66 because it's relative to how much we make.
Do you feel okay with that as a man?
Yeah. Generally speaking, I would say I used to feel some type of way about it in the past, especially when like I was looking at the prospect of, because me and my girlfriend, we met when I was still at uni, so I was jobless at the time. So like she was already making like infinitely more than I do because I didn't have a fucking job, so I wasn't making anything. But like having moved in together and living together now for as like for a little bit of time that we've been living together, it's just like that I don't want to go into too much because I just don't.
No, don't give me like exactly a year, 2 year in the 5-year range and a 6-year range.
No, not 5-year range quite. That's the relationship range. We've been living together for a little bit shorter than that.
Yeah, because relationships like that don't survive. Because you see, a male, I know I'm going to sound red pill here, but I really do believe in this stuff, and I believe that a male is able.
You're okay. Yeah, you can fire away.
No, because a male is able to take a wife, like I did, and support her his whole life and feel good about it and have a sense of pride. But a female is not able to do the same thing for a male and make him stay for their whole life while she support him. It just doesn't work. And I hope your relationship does work. Think, a little.
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I think that like one of the issues is that you have to be a little bit removed from like the today's reality of economy to like still hold that position. Because like you mentioned earlier yourself, for instance, you have a generational home. That is one thing that I, for instance, don't have access to. Right? I don't have a generational home that I can just invite my girlfriend to. We have to make do with what we do have, which is not a generational home. But also like just look at the current state of the economy. Women are out-graduating men. Women are increasingly out-earning men. Women are doing better and better in the workforce, where it seems like men, by and large, seem to be just heading in a different direction. So if women want to be in long-term successful relationships, in long-term happy relationships, they have to grow into being fine with dating people who make less than they do. That is just a reality of life. The entire fucking human history, men have been doing that. And now women will have to start doing that as well, because that is simply the direction in which things have moved to. Now, I understand that we might feel some type of way, because we have a lot of standards to live up to, but I don't like bringing myself down on account of those standards where I have already so much going for me. It just seems weirdly self-destructive to focus on that.
I understand all that, but you see, you said the right thing. Women, 70% some women are graduating. I think it's 70-30. So women are very successful right now. They're killing it in school, in corporate America, and earning everything. But are they gonna go upward to look for mates, or they're gonna go downward? They're not. They're gonna look within their own range in education and income. And the bottom is going to be a big food pyramid
I
of
mean,
men who doesn't
I
have
mean, but that
anything.
it seems
just
like it seems
look,
like that's
look,
not what's
real quick,
happening.
this Chris, look.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So this is the issue. Everyone, man, woman, poor, rich, wants to date and marry someone that is richer than them. That's just higher status
Sure,
and
yeah.
richer. That is the goal for every single man, woman, doesn't matter, right? Non-binary. Everyone ideally wants that. We all recognize though that generally that's probably not going to happen for most of us, right? Because there's just not enough of them to go around. Why would they want? They also want to date richer, right? So they're all looking for that. So there are issues here with college admissions, for example, and college graduation rates. There are issues that are affecting men. Um, that is absolutely one of them. Because as you said, Omar, a lot of people, rightly or wrongly, put a lot of their self-worth into can I support my family? A lot of men do that.
Yeah.
Can I support my family? And that's not a bad thing. It's not bad to want to support those around you. It's not bad to want to be able to take care of those around you. What becomes toxic is when we hang our entire reason for being in a relationship as being a pocketbook for women. And I'm glad that we're moving away from that. I'm glad that I'm not joking here. I'm glad that
I agree.
I wanna build up on what you're saying, because like I agree big time. But like the thing is that when we focus entirely on economy, like we ignore literally every single component that makes a relationship successful. And like the reality is that through media, through where we're going culturally, through everything that is happening, people are like, don't get me wrong, women like masculinity. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you that like being a fucking soy boy with cat ears and a twink is going to like be the go-to in the next like 6 months of dating, because I don't fucking imagine it will. However, by and large, like it seems to also be the case that women are moving away from what I will label, I don't like using these terms when I'm on like panel shows like this because it alienates so much of the audience, but so many women are moving away from like the more toxic aspects of masculinity, right? Like there are things that like they no longer like that men are focusing on. I am on the younger side of things, right? I'm 24. I'm not that, like, I'm freshly out of uni relatively. I still see some of my friends, like some of their posts on Facebook, say shit like when he's a 10, but you find out he listens to Andrew Tate, and then like a fucking crying emoji, because like that is a turnoff. And men, by and large, still focus on, and we are being still pressured to focus on, having entirely materialistic goals. I can't tell you how many people I know now in life who make good money and who are absolute fuck ups in terms of their relationship because they don't know anything other than how to make good money. It's just, it seems like it's a blinding way to go through life.
Well, let me ask you this, Omar.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious, because we are of a similar age. I'm not 43 yet. I'm going to turn 40 later this week, gang. So congratulations to me. I'll be the
Wow.
big 40. It'll be
Welcome to the
weird,
club.
but we are
You could be my
of an
dad.
age. Of an age. I might be your dad. It's true.
Fuck. I will have. Fuck it. You know what? I'm all here for the masculine fucking father figure wick. Let's bring it on.
Daddy Wick. Tier 3 subs get Daddy Wick ASMR. Just FYI. So if you sub to my channel and you pay me enough money, I'll get you that. But let me ask my question here.
Yeah.
So we come up from a similar age, probably different cultures. So I understand you weren't raised in America. You're an immigrant. Is that true?
Yeah, but I came here when I was 7. I was raised in New York City.
Oh, fair enough. So
Yeah.
close enough. Close
Yeah,
enough
yeah,
then,
yeah.
right?
But I have that culture mentality, though. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So I guess my ask to you would be, when you think about your life, what has been the hardest thing being a man in your life? What's been the hardest part of being a man to you?
The hardest thing for me personally was, well, we struggled in the beginning. We were very poor, but raising my kids in this environment of where you don't have control of your children, because as a father, you are at war with social media, with TV, with the school kids, with the streets, with the guy at the grocery store. You cannot teach your children anything. So you don't have that full 100% control to try to raise good citizens that could benefit society. But that's the only hardest thing. But since I got married when I was 18, my wife, she was 18, she knew what I wanted. She knew that I wanted to be, I don't want to say the alpha male, you know, I wanted that, I wanted that to be my housewife. That's all I wanted. Nothing more, nothing less. And she has been a good partner in my whole life through good and bad. And I feel proud of that because I was able to provide for her, for my children, my mother and father. A lot of people, especially here in the United, they don't have that feeling anymore. Like some people, you have a 35-year-old who's living in his mother's basement at 16, 17. I had my first business at 18 or 17 years old in New York, you know, because my father was in business. But the whole idea, I'm not saying I'm better than them, but mentally, the way I was programmed, you know, I'm a Muslim, right? You know, my religion, right? So, an Arab culture, men are held to a big ideal. They're like the umbrella of the house, and you have to provide. It's shameless if you can't provide for your family, your father, or your mother, or your kids. You cannot be a failure in our ecosystem or the way we live. Even in New York City, we still have a community that we live in, and we still know each other. You understand what I'm saying? What I'm saying is that young American men have been devastated. You see, the opiate crisis is killing them every day. The incel movements, and able to have relationship or maintain relationships, and able to maintain good jobs, or are dependent on their mother and father. That's a problem. That's a crisis. We're gonna crash as a society if we continue. We need to build up that male. I'm not saying to be the dominant lion or anything like that, but we need to bring that male self confidence back, so we could have a
Sure,
real.
but how would you do that, Omar? Right?
This
Because
is
that is
the
what it will boil
that's the
down to.
problem.
Like,
I don't know. I don't have that answer. Honestly, I don't know. You just got to teach them. I mean, I'm
I
not.
have the
well,
answer.
so I feel like I am on the again on the younger side. So I've struggled with many of these aspects. Like in my process of growing up, I was like incredibly deep in the fucking incel dumb when I was a kid. Like I know that people say that like, oh yeah, every teenager's an incel. Like no
Yeah, me
motherfucker.
too. I had no
I
access.
was like, yeah, no, I don't mean no acted. Trust me. Like I fucking fell from the incel into the red pill. There was so much that I used to like fucking plague myself with that like seems to have no other use than to plague yourself with. Like the idea that like this symbol of masculinity is something that you have to live up to is something that I have now begun to reject like wholeheartedly. Don't get me wrong, there are aspects of masculinity that I treasure quite a lot. I like being the guy in the house who like moves the heavy shit around. I like going to the gym. I like the fact that like when I'm out with my girl, I am like the sort of the pillar of the physicality there, let's just say. However, I don't like being constrained in that, like, I have to be the breadwinner. I have to be stoic 24/7. I have to have a hobby which has a direct correlation with making as much money as humanly possible. Like, there are many things that, like, young men think they have to hold themselves up to, but they just really don't. And like I understand the concern that you have with like, yeah, we need to bring the masculinity back, but I really don't think that's the way forward because we're not getting the economy. Like with that cat isn't coming back into the bag.
Well,
So the way
okay,
forward is to
so
like
solve it
evolve
for us.
masculinity.
Solve it for us, Chris. How do we because Omar here, right? My co-host for the day
What do you mean
isn't
today?
wrong.
Every week.
Yeah, isn't wrong.
Yeah.
Isn't wrong when he says that we have a crisis of masculinity or among young men. There is a crisis. There is a problem. There are real issues that are plaguing us. Um, we disagree on the cause, me and him,
Yeah.
but we don't disagree that there is a problem. Um, I think I have the way out, or at least the path forward. But what do you think, Chris? How do you address the issues, right? Because every conversation I seem to have on here is simply arguing whether or not there are issues in a lot of cases. Like that tends to be where we focus on, are these really issues and should we really be focusing on them? But please for a moment just assume they are. Just roll with me here. How do we fix it?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, how do we fix it is going to be like a really fucking broad question. I think that like there are going to be some, let's say, old teachings that like you can tap into that resonate, or at least back in my day resonated with a ton of young men. I'm thinking of like, you know, old lectures of Jordan Peterson talking about how relationship is a mutual struggle. Like before he got fucking benzoed crazy. The issue, again, like I said, with having like this very strict symbol of masculinity that you have to live up to, the idea, like the expectation almost that like you have to be the breadwinner, you have to be hyper masculine, you have to be all of these things. I don't like putting too many constraints in the way. And one
I agree with you.
genuine
I agree with
issue.
you that those are all not the way. But what is the way?
Well, yeah. So, like I said, so understanding as like on an individual level, as a, let's say, teenager, young adult, that you don't have to live up to a certain, like a very rigid standard is a healthy way of going forward. Understanding, like, especially seeing how much of a pull the red pill has currently, understanding that relationships are a mutual struggle of like two humans with two fucking, like two wealths of experience that you can tap into instead of like men versus women. And like the big issue that I've spoken about this to someone in my chat the other day, and I don't have a good answer to this. The issue with good role models, broadly speaking, with some exceptions, is that they aren't on the internet. Like the kind of men that you might want to look up to in order to like sort of better yourself on an individual level, they're not on fucking Twitch panels. They're like taking care of the family offline. And like, I don't know how you tap it. You can't just go into their garden and stare at them through the fucking window. Like, I don't know what would be like a genuinely good way of going here. I don't like giving prescriptions of just like, don't do this and don't do that. But like, yeah, fuck. If you just want like the super basic ones, then like the entry level stuff of the red pill, go to the gym. That's probably a good idea just across the board. Have good hygiene. Again, good idea across the board. Focus on your education for as long as that is like possible, right? I understand that in America you guys have to pay fucking ridiculous amounts for uni. In other places in the world it's free, so if you were not born in America you're already a winner. Like try and not be hard to get if you might already be hard to want, right? Like don't bat like too fucking ridiculously out of your league. Like there's just going to be a lot of basic things, and then somewhere in that you will hopefully find yourself, as so many of us have managed to.
It is. I hate to say this, but it feels so empty. I understand, right, that if we all had better understandings of our place in the world, it would help, or at least the bleeding might stop a little bit. But I don't think, aside from like, you know, the basic stuff, like you said, like going to the gym, shower daily, right? Trim your beard, or you know, clip your nose hairs, etc. Ice Beams, thank you for the sub, by the way. Yeah, this and this isn't to you specifically, Chris, because this like what
I
you're
understand.
saying
It's
isn't
fair
unique,
criticism, yeah.
right?
Just
It's just
fire away. You can
it
be
just
mean.
feels empty because as a young man, I'm not young anymore, but I put myself in the shoes. If I lived today and I was 19, 20, 21, and I was growing up today and I was looking at these things, I was seeing these real struggles of not being able to get a job, not being able to or get a living wage, I should say, not be able to to really have a place in higher education. Everything's moving away from me. It's not that I'm not centered anymore. It's that I'm not valued anymore as a man or as a person. And I see these things, and then I hear people say, well, you just got to realize that you're not the center of the universe anymore. And you just got to realize, right, that you know, you just need
It's
to.
not, if I can
Just
cut in, yeah.
feels
The
it
issue that
feels
you
so
have,
like
so
dismissive.
I understand. Yeah, it's insufficient. I would say, but like the problem that you bump into in that case is that like if you want to go to spaces that aren't, let's say, quote unquote, insufficient, then like just look into Red Pill, right? Like everything about Red Pill is two sentences that make you feel good and hopeful for the future, and then you crash like a motherfucker because you understand that
Red
you were
Pill's
lied
stupid.
to.
I agree.
One of you,
Yeah.
but what I mean is that all of the places that are giving you definitive answer. That's
Big
always how it ends up
promises.
being. You listen to the guys like talk about the fucking values of masculinity, and then one of them ends up in jail for diddling a 15-year-old. Another is on house arrest for sexual trafficking. Third one preaches religion while fucking OnlyFans models and doing drugs behind the scenes. Like, all of these people are full of shit.
Hypocrisy. Yeah. I want to show you how thirsty that young people are when a false prophet like Andrew Tate comes into the scene. They all converted to his religion. I mean, his religion of masculinity, and he's a fake in the phone. I saw some video footage of him. As soon as the camera shuts off, he's a different person. So what I'm saying is that you have he awakened all these kids who are young on social media. By the millions were following him. You understand? Because they're thirsty. These kids, they know they're lonely. Nobody's paying attention. They're playing video games all day, wasting. We could blame them for doing that, but society has forgotten all about him. Trust me. I mean, we got to do more. I mean, they don't have access even to the market of sex, the vaginas. There's so many vaginas around them. They don't have access to that. You understand?
That's a
Huh?
weird way to put it.
I mean,
Omar, that's such a weird way to put it.
Well, I mean,
I mean, to a certain extent, like as much as I will I can. I've been on a panel with Omar, and like there's a ton that we disagree on, but like I can't fault like at least where he's coming from.
Yeah.
Because I understand I understand the intention. Like I will say on the offhand comment, just because I have an opportunity to. Still, when it comes to Red Pill, and I'll take any opportunity to shit on them. My favorite thing to this day is like it's always going to be Sneeko saying rude things about Islam, then finding out next day that the Islam debate community is going hard after him, and then a day after they just goes like, Inshallah, I now believe in Allah. I would like to hereby very much claim that I am big time Muslim. Like. Dude, it's just all of that is fucking it's pathetic. But also I would say, because like video games get brought up like a fair amount when this discussion happens. The issue with video games, and it's the same as like masturbation gets brought up as like that is the thing that you do and that is wrong. It's wrong if you're addicted to it. Video games are just a method of like escapism. The addiction to video games is that becomes a problem. Masturbation is just like a thing that we do. Addiction to it becomes a problem. The roots, like, but the thing is, to move forward, we need to figure out what causes the addiction. We need to talk about what causes the addiction, rather than to say like, if you stop masturbating, that's going to fix all of your fucking issues, or if you stop playing video games, that's going to fix all of your issues, because it doesn't.
There's an answer here. There's an answer, Chris speaks, and I would think it's fairly obvious. The convenience economy, the convenience factor that we have access to today that we didn't even 20 years ago. Like, look, pornography. 20 years ago, I had to sit overnight and download my porn videos, okay, on Kazaa or LimeWire or those torrent sites. We were on 32-bit kilobyte upload speeds and download speeds, right? We didn't have any of this super lightning fast internet, so I had to put in effort to get my pornography, okay? Now today, I could just Google boobies, and it's there. Boobies, a sea of boobies of all types. I can get hyper-specific, hyper-granular boobies, right? Like, I can get AI-generated boobies. It's just at the tip of the fingertip, like at the tip of your fingers. And the same with video games. The ease of access, we are drowning. We are drowning in options. We are drowning in opulence. We are drowning in hedonism. And that is an issue that has not been before. It has not been. And we as a society, as a culture, do not know how to handle this. We as a species have not yet learned to adjust to this wealth of options. Again, right? Until we do,
I think
we learn.
One of the problems when it comes to. Oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I will jump in a sec.
Hold on. I'm gonna share something with you guys first. When I had my first orgasm, I didn't know what it was. You believe that?
Okay.
I was wrestling with a girl with kids. I was like 13 years old, and the school bus, and her knee happens to touch my thing, and I started shaking like fucking the Incredible Hulk. Start seeing stars. I didn't know what the hell. What I'm saying is that we didn't have that access, but we still knew what we had to do. What do you think? Sometimes I talk about that our society, like in Yemen, they have arranged marriages. Everybody gets married. The ugly, the fat, the blind, the one-eyed. Everybody gets a wife guaranteed by the village. Understand? In that society, but here
the problem that we have is that like fuck, there are so many things to go into there. Like not even not even the story of you nutting, just like the everything around it. One of the first of all, like we don't want that in our society. Like we do not want the like arranged marriages. Like there are people for sure that would like benefit from it, but by and large, as a society, we seem to reject that idea wholeheartedly. But also, like another thing, I don't know if the issue is per se to do with like the opulence and the attempt to all of it. Because like, look, if I have a 9 to 5 and I can't afford a fucking single bedroom apartment or a car off of that 9 to 5, then I am going to take joy in the things that I do have access to, which if I have a computer and if I have internet access, that's going to be rubbing one out to someone that I would probably never have a chance to fuck, but I will enjoy the fantasy of it. Now, if you're a kid in school at uni, you look at the prospect of what the fuck is going to happen to you when you've graduated. You look at like you're going to be earning like, let's say $20,000 to $50,000 a year. An average house, costs so much that like realistically, you're not going to be able to afford that. Relationships are a fucking mess because you don't know how to talk to people anymore, because you find yourself in this weird situation where like half of it you have like this weird blame for women that you haven't fully worked out how to deal with. The other half of it is that you're just not as social as perhaps would be good if you were. Like everything just seems, it's easy to look at things and realize how fucking hopeless there are, because none of us in the moment have the ability, well, I shouldn't say none, but very few people in the moment have the ability to just do things one step at a time, when like there are so many things expected of you. Like you will be the breadwinner, you will have a nice car, a nice family, a nice house, and if you weren't given those things, you can't afford them, you can't buy them for shit. Look, I don't want to divulge like too much private information, but I did pretty fucking well in terms of education, and I'm doing relatively well in terms of pay. And even though I'm doing relatively well in terms of pay, there is still a lot of the comforts that I have in my life right now that I wouldn't have access to if I wasn't living in like the mutual struggle with my partner. If we weren't both like putting the fucking work in, the time in, and if we weren't both literally, 9 to 5 plus putting the money into the house, into everything else. Like a lot of it is just, it's easy to look at and just be fucking doomed.
Well, it is. It's one of the difficulties of talking about these things is that there are so many different problems that are all problems, and we've spent, I think, maybe too much energy, and this is partially on me as well, right? Of trying to suss out where is the crux or the keystone, and I think we might be better served with a more holistic approach here, with a more incremental approach here. Instead of trying to find the cornerstone that we can remove to make the whole edifice crumble of all the problems that we have, right? We should probably work on nibbling at the edges slowly but surely and eroding the support in a more kind of holistic approach. And let me give you an example of what I mean. So I talked at least, about things like access and opulence and things. We talked about red pill being a problem, false prophets, as I think Omar said, being a problem, and social media being a problem, gendered expectations and roles being a problem. Yes, I'll agree to all of these. So the question for me becomes how to deal with this. And I think that at the end of the day, the best way to fix this problem is on an individual level, unfortunately, is giving more and more young men, tools to deal with the world. And that is going to be difficult. I know it sounds easy, but it's not easy, right? It's simple, but it's not easy. But we need to move away as a culture from blaming the system for everything that we have. Every problem we have. It's systemic. Might be true, but we need to stop. We need to stop because it doesn't help. It's not helping.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with you on that, because like you have a lot of issues like along the way. So like you can sit there and say that like, yeah, we need to move away in this direction of that. And like I agree with like that part of the messaging for sure. But like at the same time, I'm like you do that on your corner of the internet, and I can be over here on mine being like, ayo, you want bitches? You hit the gym, you do drop shipping, you maidenless fuck. And if she doesn't want you, just persuade her to wanted you by mutilating all other potential partners in your vicinity, okay? That is how you get bitches. You just grind and grind and grind, and we all hit that fucking bag at the end of the day. And like, we achieve absolute and total fucking victory. America, hell yeah. It's like, for starters, that you have to compete with people just lying for no fucking reason, because like, well, I say no fucking reason. There's a good reason. There's money in it. But then at the same time, if I look at some of the red pillars, if I look at my own experience when I was like in the red pill and as an incel, I didn't blame any of the institutions. I was actually like very much of the conservative opinions that it is all bootstrappy. It is all like your own responsibility. Institutions have nothing to do with it. The economy is just an excuse. And I don't have bitches because I don't hit the gym enough. But like, that isn't the case. The institutions have, like, you need to understand the reality of the situation that you're dealing with. You need to understand how much of a fucking hopeless prospect dating apps, for instance, are, so that if you decide to go in there, at least you go in there with realistic expectations of what might or rather is going to happen. It's not necessarily that you should like avoid responsibility, but you need to understand what you're getting yourself into with the decisions that you make.
Yeah, you say this, but what happens in the ground, right? When you say things like this, is most people think, well, yes, it is the institutions, and then they stop doing anything to try.
I don't know if that's the case. I don't think it. I don't think it is. In my experience,
I think we're watching it happen. I think what we're watching happen 20, 30 years. Yeah.
Well, to a certain extent, with some people, sure. But my predominant concern is with those people who go like, well, it is the women. Like, those fucking bitches, they're going to uni now. They're making more money, and they still don't want to date me. And I would have been expected.
Yes.
Yeah, but like in the world that I live in, and granted, this is like because of my own biases and who I am, that is like an infinitely bigger problem. Because like, I spent years having to fix all the fuck ups that like I put myself through because of like just pieces of shit that lie to you in hopes that you're going to send the $10 to like their fucking Fresh and Fit podcast.
What's that? Yeah, that's idiots.
Yeah, that's it. Just real quick, Omar, and I'll let you go. But no, that's also an that's also blaming an institution, the institution of women. It's the same thing, right? It's saying this outside force has power over me, and there's nothing I could do, and it's all their fault. If
that's what you mean by institution, then yeah, I'm with you 100%. I just never. That's a new one to me. That's all. Like, I don't think I've ever heard anyone go like, fucking, I hate women because of who they are. And you just go like, no, chill on the institutional bias, mate. Just focus on yourself. Like, that's a new one. That's all.
Omar, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to tell you, one time I tweeted, I said, maybe the government should give a voucher to incels to go get laid, like, you know, and you know, cat house. We call it cat house.
Omar, what? Can you repeat that?
One time I tweeted, I said, the government of the United States should give a voucher to incels to go get laid, you know, like those legal places, right? You know what?
The issue.
Yeah, I got a lot of
Sorry,
response.
carry on.
You know, hold on. You know what it is? They want affection. It's not about the getting laid. They don't have that. They want that relationship that everybody has, because everybody, you could $50 in New York, you could get what you want here in New York City, from the Bronx over to Brooklyn. But the whole idea is a lot of the incels responded. He said, no, we want affection, we want relationship. So the problem with the incel community is they want to be loved. And I don't know how we're going to give them that. But you understand? And if we don't give them that, they're going to start running people over with cars. They'll become a terrorist organization. There's a problem here, guys. Men have been emasculated, and they don't know how to interact with women. A lot of them are intimidated by women because they have higher income, better education than they do. And once women make more money than a man, I know your relationship is okay because you understand each other, but it's not equal. It never is going to be equal. If a woman makes more money than a man, then the man is unable to survive in that relationship for a long time. He's always going to.
Sure, but who are the men emasculated by? Because like just listen to like the conversations that we're having right now as well, right? Like you're very convinced of the fact that like, and I understand that you don't wish me well, but you're convinced based on what your understanding of life that like my relationship, for instance, isn't going to survive because my partner makes more than I do. So it's like, but that isn't something that like me and my partner concern ourselves with. Yeah. So it's another case of like the emasculation that happens, being held to a certain standard and being shut down when I don't meet it. It's not being done to me by women. It's not being done to me by feminism. It's being done to me by a fellow man on a podcast, right? Like, and this is what happens in almost all of these cases. The emasculation that men go through, it's done to them by other men. It's like, I just think that like we should target the annoyance with this in like a healthier direction than like feminism, for instance. It's like, yeah, fucking hell, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. They've got their own fuck ups as well. Yeah. But again, every time I felt like a less than Wasn't done by a woman. It was done by a guy.
You know, I don't know.
I
Go ahead.
I have had people, men and women, made me feel less than. It's not.
Do you mean?
I
hold
don't
on,
know
wait,
if
do
I
you
could
mean
say
in
it's
this
more one
specific-
or the other, to be honest.
Well,
right?
yeah, granted, you also have like 70 years of experience in the life on
True.
me.
I am
But
ancient.
that aside,
and
like, yeah,
Nero.
other than like the immediate geriatrism that we have to talk about, I mean being made feel like a less than in like this very specific way of being held up to a standard of masculinity that I cannot attain. Like being held to that standard is almost universally being done to me by other men in my experience. I remember before I started hitting the gym, before I started lifting, before I like started looking physically better, the person that was most supportive of me in that journey was my girlfriend, my current girlfriend, the one I'm still with. And like I understand that that is a relatively unique experience in that obviously not everyone's going to go through this, but like at the same time, all of the like every single time I was at my lowest, when I was doubting myself the most, it was when I was deepest in the red pill and in the like the fucking incel
Yeah,
numb,
but,
and I was constantly surrounding myself with people who would shit on any of my interest
You said
because like they're not traditionally masculine. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Just one question. You said that your mate. You said she liked it when you go into the gym, you exercise, you started building your body.
Yeah, sure.
She wants an alpha male in the house. You understand what I'm saying? She wants that. She wants you to be a strong, muscular man around her. Because women, no matter how much they earn, no matter how independent they get, they're always gonna feel secure with a strong man. I don't mean a man who goes beat up everybody in the street. I mean a man who has this presence, whether when they're mating, or how they live. You see how she said go exercise. She enjoyed that because she wants you to look physically strong in her eyes. You understand? It is in nature. It is the way we are. We were made as human beings. A man is supposed to be not
I mean,
muscular.
sure, it's probably not. It's not. I wouldn't say it's nature. It's probably there's probably nature to it to a certain extent. But at the same time, like I'm not ignorant to any of those realities. Like I understand that women prefer like stereotypically they prefer richer men, men with stature, men with some kind of like men that just know how to carry themselves in the same sense how men prefer, broadly speaking, younger women with big tits, big asses, and wide hips. However, and this brings me back to like that you shouldn't be hard to get when you're hard to want. Like, just like understand that you might prefer to date like a fucking model, but they might not want to date you. So how about you just instead find happiness with what is realistically attainable by you in the place you find yourself in?
That's such a weird. Okay, why don't you just settle? Is basically what you're saying, which I agree with, but it's terrible messaging. It's terrible messaging.
No, but it's not about settling strictly speaking. It's about like how many
bro,
cases
you're
have you
two,
had? How many
so,
cases have you seen? Yeah, but how many cases have you seen, Wick, where you like look at a couple, like a man and a woman, and you just like you cannot fucking figure out for the love of you how she's into him because she looks like an 8 out of 10 on like this objective fucking beauty scale, and he looks like Shrek.
You know
okay, so
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, but
go
like
on.
how often? Yeah, but just so I can like
My
just so I can like
advice-
carry this to where I want to. Like you see that relatively often, right? Like we've all seen this happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's because we have a thoroughly retarded way of evaluating what people bring into a relationship based on like these rigid standards that we hold ourselves up to. And what I'm saying is that we should stop holding other people to those. What I'm not saying to settle. I'm saying to be realistic with what you're going for. Like Wick, I know this is going to come across as rude, but you can't land Margot Robbie. It's just not going to happen.
Bet. Okay. Bet. I will see you in a year, buddy, and I'll bring her on.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure that will happen.
He's going to the gym. He's going to go to the gym and start exercising from tomorrow. What I was going to say is that my advice to any man is I'd rather marry a 7 or a 6 than marry an 8 or 9 or 10. And I'll tell you why. A 7 is going to be mine, and an 8 or 9 and 10 is going to be for everybody. Every time she goes out, everybody's chasing her. I got to compete for her. But I think my advice to anybody, just settle for a 6 and a 7 and you'll have a happy life. And leave the 8 and 9 if you just want to fool around like a drive-by and leave. But if you want to settle, always settle for a 6 and 7. It's the best number to be.
Again, I'm not using settle in the sense that you guys are applying it here. What I mean hyper specifically, and this like I don't even know if this needs to be hyper specific because this happens all the time. You will have cases, you will have guys who enter the dating market and what they want versus what they offer is so badly mismatched that like I don't know what the fuck is going through their head at the time. What I mean when I say like
You
don't
gotta shoot for the stars, because even if you miss, you'll land among the moon.
quick, shooting for the stars is currently making men kill themselves at unprecedented rate. Like maybe we should just chill a little bit.
I don't think that's what's making people kill themselves.
No, obviously there's going to be more to it, dickhead. Yeah, no. You know what? No. I'm putting on the clown costume because of you. This is solely what's causing men's suicide. Okay, it is going for the Margot Robbies of the world. That is what is causing men to die. Oh fuck, that's
I think
an actress.
Oh, okay.
I will say one of the issues, and allow me to drag women for a bit here, okay? Because this is a problem. It's not just a women problem, but it involves them. So we're gonna be a little misogynist here.
Yeah.
Cover your ears, Ice Beams and Allie and things like that. One of the biggest issues that we have in the dating market today, right, is it is no longer acceptable to date people with whom you work, or it's becoming less acceptable, I should say. Much less acceptable to find romance among your day-to-day activities. It is seen as predatory in many cases. Just look at the response that people did towards Kidology, who was, just lightly flirting with people, and suddenly she's being castigated for being like this weird sex pest or sex pervert because she flirted in a public setting amongst her coworkers, right? That's insane to me. And I see this, and I see this more among the younger generation, is when I was in the workforce, 18, 19, 20, 21, etc., it was perfectly acceptable, and we did it all the time. We flirted with each other. We dated each other. All these things. You didn't date your boss, right? But your coworkers? Yeah, all the time. It's now an issue. It's now a problem in a way that it wasn't before, right? And I think that lack of access to and that helped us, the Wicks of the world, the Fives of the world, if you will, get access to better looking women, because surprise, surprise, if you hang around someone with long enough time, they might become into you despite how you look, right? Now it's all looks in a way. That's how they
I feel like
go on Instagram, they go on Tinder, they go on everything, and the only thing they see about you is how you look.
I mean, sure, to a certain extent, but like, look, I work in a corporate environment. Like, I have plenty of fucking female coworkers. I think currently there might actually be more female coworkers that I work with than male ones. But anywho, the point that I'm getting at is that it isn't just like, it's not just a binary of date coworkers previously versus no more date coworkers now. It's about like the dynamic that it influences into like the team that you might both be a part of. But more specifically, it's like the idea that like this. Look, I am sympathetic to the fact that we are eliminating third spaces, and there aren't really that many places for you to go to and meet someone if you wanted to like have a realistic chance at a relationship. But at the same time, it's like dating coworkers is incredibly fucking complicated. A lot of relationships don't work out.
We can skip that. Let's look at the gym discourse, right? Men specifically, being castigated for going up to a woman in the gym.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, there's a lot of there's like a lot of really fucking dumb things happening regarding that. Like I don't know how deep I want to get into this. I watch so much fucking gym stuff related to like my just in my everyday life. There's like even a trend currently where there are some like fucking Instagram influencers who purposefully set up the cameras to get a guy to glance at them just so that they can then pick that camera up, go up to him and like just completely berate him for like just taking a glance, when like in reality, like fuck yeah, sometimes you're in the gym and you look at people like, yeah, who would have fucking expected that to happen? And like, sure, that happens and that's like toxic as shit. But like at the same time, look, I don't want to, at the risk of offending you, I'm almost positive I'm the only person here who hits the gym relatively regularly.
No, I do. I do 30 minutes a day. I don't do weights.
Okay, fuck, massive
wait till
props
you're
then. Yeah,
wait till you're
cardio,
40,
then...
Chris, and then you start going to gym. See if you have the same
same
game.
Hey, no, look, okay. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this to hate on you. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because like I spend a decent amount of time in gyms, and like it is still extraordinarily rare for like an occurrence like that to happen. Like I don't think I've ever actually witnessed a woman losing their shit because like a guy glanced. It's just sometimes it's easy to get lost in the source when you watch YouTube and you
I'm
have
not
like cases of
talking
something.
about glancing. I'm talking about men who are trying to make a connection at the gym or at the grocery store or at these other places that we congregate and spend time at. That, again, you could look at my chat as a kind of anecdotal evidence for this. People are like, leave them alone, you weirdos. How dare you approach a woman in a public space? Like, that's a... What? What?
To be fair, I don't know if gym is going to be. Fuck. I'm not out of sympathy again, but I don't know if gym is going to be like an appropriate like example to go to here. Like,
Why
obviously,
not?
maybe
Why would it be a bad
because
thing?
usually, so
right?
like I can use myself as an example. So depending on what day it is, depending on like how I've scheduled my day, I will either go to the gym before work or I'll go after work. In either case, I go in there with like an explicit goal in mind of like hitting my workout, doing the shit, and getting the fuck out of there so I can get home and play League of Legends, okay? That is the game plan. I want to be out of that fucking building as soon as humanly possible. I work out solely because it makes me look good. I fucking hate every second of it. I don't like people walking up and talking to me because I usually have music on. However, I understand
That's
that like
your
sometimes
problem as an introvert, right?
sure, but so then the problem is entirely in like the reaction that you are met with. I don't know how realistically frequent it is that you walk up to someone and you're like, "Hey, would you like to like work out together? Would you like to grab a bite after this? Or like, what's your name or what that?" And like someone just goes like, "Fuck you, you piece of masculine
Okay,
shit. I disregard patriarchy and I want you to die in a fire." Like I would assume most of the time people just go like, "No, I'm not interested. I just want my workout to get like done with."
I go to Planet Fitness. I don't pick up weights. I do 30 minutes a day on the treadmill. Yeah, they're all fat. The girls there. I haven't seen a pretty girl there. They're all like, I'm married. You understand? So and then nobody talks to anybody. First of all, I smell because I'm sweating, and I don't know if it's a good conversation to have with a girl. You smell and you're smelling yourself. But I'm going to tell you, there's a lot of statistics that men and women have more sex at work. I don't know. It's a large percentage. Yeah, coworkers are hitting each other in the back, in the office. You understand when you put them together. But to meet women, I don't know. I mean,
I get you. Look, this argument though, like, well, I'm just going for a specific task for a specific place. I don't like how the introverts are have kind of like the people who don't like people and don't like talking to people have decided that they are going to make the rules on interactions for public spaces, like the gym, like the grocery store, like all these places. Like if I'm at a public place, it doesn't give you permission to approach me, right? What? No, if you're in a public
it's not
space,
that way.
even if you're working, even if you're doing something, even if you're at the gym, even if you're at the grocery store for a very specific thing, someone, again, depending on how they do it, is obviously a big issue here. But someone simply approaching you isn't a sin.
If someone simply approaches you, barely anyone is going to react in like any manner of a like with any volatile reaction at all. Like it is going to be extraordinarily rare that happens in like vast majority of the circumstances. And I feel comfortable to like say fucking 100,000 to 1 odds. You will just be met with like, sorry, I'm not interested, or like, sorry, I just want to get this workout over with, or like just no.
But it's not just about what will happen, right? The extremes of it. It's about the culture around it. Again, me just simply saying this, I got people in my chat. I got people in all my chats saying, oh, "Wick, you just don't understand. You don't get it. You don't understand." It's the culture around it. It's people are approaching people less in public, okay? Because they fear the reaction. No matter what they think, what will actually happen, what they fear is an issue, and this is leading to this atomization, isolation, lack of community, all these things. It's become a problem. $5 from Testicle Johnson to say, Wick, would you recommend negging women constantly, and if they reject you, call them a whore? I would recommend against that, sir.
I think that
but more money, I would recommend you donate and super chat more. Gang.
I think that what ends up being the issue more often than not, and this isn't something that you can really blame the introverts for, although maybe to a certain extent, what's stopping you from doing that, Wick, is like a fucking seemingly crippling fear of rejection. A lot of people don't want to walk up to the girl and ask because they're afraid of like the reaction they're gonna get. Because like
that too, yeah, but it's also social stigma.
Sure, but what is that fear of rejection
And social
That
stigma.
isn't sure, but the fear. What I'm getting at is that the fear of rejection, at least in my case, it wasn't rational. I wasn't afraid of talking to women because I've had so many experiences where they've disregarded me. I was afraid of talking to women because I was a fucking idiot. And you've come to like understand as you grow up that like actually people aren't really that scary. You might want to not interact with them. Like I'm introverted as shit. I usually don't want people to interact with me at all. But when they do, people tend to be quite pleasant with one another.
Yeah, but isn't it about eye contact? Sometimes, usually the woman will give you a little hint there. She'll give you a smile.
Sure, but the
Yeah,
problem is
Isn't this how it
if you're
works?
talking Omar, if you yeah, to a certain extent, sure, but if you're talking to someone who has like a fear of rejection, odds are they aren't going to pick up on social cues for shit. Like it's just like, look, I'm speaking from experience when I say I was even even right now, I was hit on coming back from work like 2 months ago, and I hadn't realized I was being hit on until I fucking made it back home and told my girlfriend the story.
Tell her. See, that's the problem right there. So don't
you
ever
think you
bring
should have kept it secret? You
never
think you
bring
should have hid it?
you know what? Okay, I'm gonna say something crazy here. You have to keep the wife in the dark. You can't let her know how much money you got in the bank. You can't tell her what you do outside. You just
What?
get.
Omar, I can't deal with this right now. I'm trying to argue with Chris. I can't deal with this. Keep your wife in the dark about everything. Give me a
Yeah,
minute.
Sometimes
One
I
at a
don't know if you're
time.
describing. I don't know if you're describing a partnership or if
Because
there's something fucking else going on
no,
there.
no, she's gonna wait you, the wife. I know that sounds crazy, but you gotta have some money. You can't tell her how much money you have in the bank. She's protected. Whatever she needs, you say yes. Anything she wants, clothes, gold, whatever she wants, it's a yes. But you got to keep some secrets to yourself. You can't go to her and say, "Well, I got hit on by some girl." No, she don't need to know that information. It's not necessary to fill her head with doubt. Then every time you go out, she's like, I wonder what he's doing.
Wait,
Huh?
See, I can't deal with
so
this.
much of what you
Stop,
said is
stop, stop.
just wrong. Holy
I wanna,
fuck! I want
look,
to sit on like
give me a
just the
moment.
thorough insecurity that comes out of
We'll
this.
get
Just
to
like,
Omar in a second. We'll get to Omar in a second. Let me get this out here because I have to get this out here. No, fuck it. Okay, Omar, I'm dealing with you right now.
But
We have so I have a story for you. A younger Wix story. A Wix first real job story. I was working at a taxes and titles place, right? We worked with the banks and we would help them make sure that the people who said they owned the house to get the loan on and sell it actually own the house, that kind of thing, right? While I was working there, one day I got a weird email. It says, I won't use the name here, but it's like to my white chocolate. And I was like, what the hell? One of the coworkers there, one of the female coworkers, sent me this weirdest email just hitting on me, telling me how much she liked me, how much she was into me, and she would watch me and things like that. Today, that would have been like super creepy to hear from people, right? Like people would have been like, that's weird. She's stalking. I was flattered. My partner at the time, I printed out the email, I brought, and I shared it with them as well. And that made them trust me more.
oh
That's
no,
the thing. It
big
made them
mistake.
trust me more. You talk about filling your partner's head with doubt. I think that by hiding this, it fills them with doubt. Because
It's not.
if one of my other coworkers, if
Wait,
I hadn't said anything, and one of my other coworkers had mentioned it in passing, then my partner at the time, right, that would have been way worse
if I got
than me
something,
simply being.
if I got something like that, if I'm not interested in that person, no, I'm still a man. I would just take it, rip it, and throw it in the garbage. There's some information. Some information is not necessary to give to your mate. It's not necessary. Why you wanna?
the problem is the problem is Omar that you shouldn't make relationships and like the sort of like the interpersonal decisions in your relationship based on like solely a necessity factor, right? Like if it's supposed to be a partnership, then sometimes you will talk about things that like might make the other person uncomfortable, or you will simply share a story of your day. Like I think that if
I'll do
I was
that.
too
Yeah.
if I was too afraid to tell my partner of like the story where I was being hit on in like a fucking crowded tram because of how she might react to it, that like reeks of insecurity on both ends.
Yeah, I know, but still, guys, I'm gonna give you advice. There are certain things you don't need to tell your partner. If you have
Such
something,
as,
like if some, like you the what do you got, an email? Why would you print it and go through the
because it
process?
was funny.
It's
It
not.
was
You
funny.
just, I think you just wanted to feel like, oh, look, they're hitting on me on the work job.
Yes, that too.
Yeah,
I
you
want
trying,
to.
yeah,
Funny.
trying to create
Made me
action when
feel
there's no
good.
action. But I'm going to tell you that in my life, I've been married 20 years. There's she doesn't know how much money I used to make. She doesn't know how much I had at one time. The bank, how much saving. she has access to the money that she needs to buy. Because
Does she have an allowance?
No, she's the she's the foundation of the home. She does all the buying and everything, the food,
Okay.
all the stuff, pays the bill. She does everything. There's a budget here in the house, but you got to keep. I know I'm old fashioned, good Lord, but there are certain things you got to keep your woman. You cannot be compromised in any way. You got to keep certain things that not necessary to tell your wife. You could tell your wife, well, I met this asshole, he said something stupid. I almost punched him in the face. He almost punched me. It's okay once in a while. But like if a woman hits on me or some woman winked at me at the subway because I'm in New York City, and all that stuff, it's not necessary. There's no need to tell your wife anything. You always got to keep on guard. You are the alpha male in the house. You understand? I'm trying to build you guys over here. You understand? You love your wife. You give her your kidneys if she needs. You understand? I'm not saying that. But my wife, there are certain things she doesn't know. There are things that happen in my life she will never know.
I think let me engage with this. I do think, right, that conceptually and practically, yes. I would say that you shouldn't feel obligated to share every single thing with your partner.
You have to have secrets.
That said, I don't think money or someone hitting on you or these funny stories are something you should hide. I'll give you an example of what I think would be okay not to share. If I have an experience that is deeply troubling or deeply personal, or even just personal in a way that it's hard to explain. I'm trying to think of an example. Yeah. For example, if I get news at work, right, that there was a terrible accident and one of my coworkers was injured, and I cried, and it made me feel like less of a, like a real bad person and things like that. I don't know if I would share that or not.
You could tell your wife,
it's really hard to think of it.
Don't tell her you cried. You could say, well, John, he's a very good friend of mine. I felt.
But I don't think you should tell. We overshare too much in general with everyone. No, because
women they size you up by nature. Even their wife, they want to see how strong you are. If they see any weakness, they're gonna dive right into it. You understand? Not all, I'm telling you. Well, what I said about business, you see, I was in the retail business. I'm very successful. I was in New York City. Grocery stores and things of that nature. I'm not talking about big retail stores. She didn't know how many businesses I had. She didn't know how much income I was getting. The only person who knew was my accountant, my lawyer, and my will. But she never asked how much you made, Omar, how much money you have. She knows you always has money in that bank account. That's all she needs to know. That she's able to buy the food, to pay the rent, pay the electricity, buy her clothes, whatever she wants. I have never said no to. I'm honest with you guys. I have never said no to her like a child. Oh, you can't get this. No, never. She always had whatever she wants. But men have to keep the secrets. You need to have some stuff that she don't need to know because she doesn't size you up. I know you, my friend here. How do you pronounce your name? I'm an idiot when it comes to names. Chris. I know you're in a new relationship. I wish you a lot. I'm not trying to judge you or anything, but usually it doesn't. I don't know how to say this because you're gonna think it's not. I'm not talking to you, so don't get upset at me.
I get what you're saying, but I'm also not in a new relationship because I'm not sure if that's what you said.
When women have large income, you have little, it works for a while. Because women by nature, they're not.
How long is a while?
Well, I mean, like 5 years, 6 years. By nature, they're not providers. You're the provider.
Bro, vast majority of relationships crumble way before the 5-year mark.
I would work 20 years, and I'd be proud that I supported my wife. I would feel good that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I would never see her as a burden. Oh, look, I'm giving her money. She's staying at home. But the wife, a woman, she would not do that. Wick, if he stayed home 20
sure, but here's the problem.
If Wick stayed home 20 years playing video games, just cleaning the house and everything, his wife is not going to take it. What am I doing with this idiot? You understand? All the men, what am I doing here? I'm supporting Wick.
The problem is, Omar, that like with every word that you have said, like it's all of it. They're being sized up by your partner, being secretly judged by how much you make, being like seen as the stoic symbol that is expected to provide the emotional support, not being able to share stories because like you think they might be irrationally jealous. All of it is what like I with the strongest terms possible, stand against. Like, I think that is literally what makes relationships crumble. I mean some disrespect when I say this, but it sounds like you're describing a side fling to me, not a partnership.
What's the
Plus,
side
not
thing?
to mention
What's
that, someone that you're fucking on the side and you
No,
want to
no, no,
keep
no,
to
no.
them to be able
Trust
to
me,
fuck them, but like there is
she's
nothing
the
else that you're
queen of the
planning on.
house. She's the queen of the house.
No, I don't mean in your relationship. I
No,
mean
I
that's
know,
what it
but
sounds like the description of the relationship. Plus, like even the part of what you said, like not to mention never saying no and buying her what she wants. Even like aside again, that this just feels like giving gifts to a mistress. Like look at Wick. He's not made of money. The fuck of an expectation is that he's like never going to be able to say no. Look at my boy. Look at him crying. You made him sad for no reason at all. And he was so hopeful a minute ago. We were solving his issues, and now he's fucking miserable. Look at him.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, she's not going to ask something I can't afford. I'll tell her we can't afford that. She's not going to say, Omar.
Yeah, but then she judges you. Then you have proven to be an undesirable mate. Okay, you should have done better.
She could tell. She knows the house is paid for. The cars too outside.
Wait, the house isn't paid for. You were given that house, right? Like it's a generational home, you said.
Let me ask you this, Chris. Let me ask you this, Chris.
What I meant is, hold on. What I meant is the way we live. But I bought the house. I live with my mother and father. My father died. We live, and I got my kids downstairs, and one of them is married already. So I have a big house, like three floors. What I meant generational home, I didn't mean we inherited it. I meant the way we're living in it. Like here in America, you don't find a lot of people living with their mother and father when they're married and they already have 6 kids. You don't find that.
Omar, do you think that do you think a wife should keep anything from her husband?
I don't want to know what she do with her girlfriend. You know, my wife, sometimes she'll come.
Okay. You think so?
No, I'm going to tell you, sometimes my wife, she'll go out to a wedding or something. She'll come up with some dumb story that I don't want to even hear. I'm on the computer and I have to listen to it. She's like, and she'll confuse the daylight.
No. What I mean by
that kind of question.
What I mean by this. Stop. So Omar, so say your wife, someone hits on her at work, or she's at a grocery store. She's at a grocery store buying food for your kids and things. Someone hits on her. Should she keep that information from you just in case you get jealous?
I'm going to tell you why. If she was,
so yes, she should. To be clear,
no, I'm going to tell you. No, she shouldn't tell me. I'm going to tell you why. Unless she was violated, but if somebody talks to her, I don't want her to come and tell me, and I go out like an asshole with a gun looking for the guy. That's a bad wife or a bad girlfriend that tells her the guy at the grocery store hit at me. Then you go fight. She's creating That's dangerous.
I'm going to say this, Chris. I'm going to say this, Chris. I think I'm on Omar's side here with that. Like, if this is standard in general,
hold on, just so I can clarify. You're telling me that if you go shopping with your wife and she instigates a relationship where you have to beat the fuck out of some guy that she wanted for him to hit on her, you don't think that's a good relationship? Do we have any other fucking nuggets of knowledge you want to drop on chat today whilst we at it? Hey, Cernus in Wick's chat, you know what? Don't eat your own shit.
I don't even see that.
I'm fucking full of advice today.
Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you, that was not the question he asked. He said, if she was at the grocery store and somebody say, hey, baby, you look good. How about, another time, whatever. Nothing happened. He never touched her. She never felt afraid. There's no need to tell me that. I don't need that information because then as a man, I'd have to go to that fucking alpha thinking and go look for the guy to prove to her that I'm the protector. Some wives, they do that and people get killed. A smart wife should not tell her husband that somebody said, hi, baby. Oh, you look good. I don't need to know that stuff. But if he touched her and she felt violated, then I have to know because I have to go take care of that problem. But there's no need for me to know stupid stuff that happened. Or
right.
Somebody
I'm Team Omar now, Chris. I'm Team Omar now because if this is just a thing where he thinks that people should have private information instead.
No. But this isn't the thing with private. This isn't the stance in private information. What you just said itself sounds to me like a problem. If a guy saying, "Hey, babe, how you doing?" to your woman is so much of an issue that you need to go and beat the shit out of him when it wasn't reciprocated by your wife. Yeah, but you can't walk up to her and be like, hey, look, she's my wife and I'd appreciate if you didn't call her babe. Because I guarantee you, if you do that, the guy's going to go sure, no worries. Didn't know she was with you.
I understand. You're right. Absolutely. What I'm saying, sometimes there's certain information that could be chaos or create a dangerous problem for everybody. There's no need for me to know. It's not necessary for her to come. Hi,
Sure,
baby. You know what happened?
yeah,
The guy at
I
the
can meet
grocery
you
store told me he likes
in the
me.
middle of
I don't need
this.
to know
Yeah,
that.
so I
Then
can.
I have to go beat him
Yeah,
up.
I understand. I understand
Huh?
what you're saying because I have a thing that I've spoken about in chat regarding like my own
Yeah.
jealousy issues. So like I'm willing to meet you in the middle. Sure, there are going to be situations where you don't want to play into your partner's insecurities if you know that your partner's volatile. Sure. However, if you have like that type of a reaction to someone doing something like that, then like you not only do you need to like look into that and figure out your own biases, you've just reaffirmed a problem that you've agreed is a problem earlier because you just said that men are afraid of talking to other women. Like, yeah, I'd be afraid too if every woman out there potentially had a lunatic partner that's going to beat the fuck out of me for trying to
but
hit on her.
she's not gonna tell me there's no need. Nothing happened. There was no violence. She didn't feel
Sure,
afraid.
absolutely. But be that as it may,
hold on. He didn't touch her. She was not violated. I don't need to know that. If my wife comes and tells me that somebody said, he tried to come up to her, I think that's wrong for her to tell me because she's gonna put me in a position where I have to, defend. Let me give you an example. This happened true. A young neighbor of mine, a long time ago, it's about 10 years ago. His girlfriend, she had, the shirt in the summer and she could see her belly. She got in the elevator and the guy just said, "Hey, what's up, baby?" And he put his finger on her belly like, it was nothing. The idiot, she went and told her boyfriend. The boyfriend came, boom, he got killed. And that guy got beat up by the neighborhood kids. These are young people. And if she had just shut up, went up the elevator, nothing happened to her. There was no need to give that information to this kid. I know him. They used to call him Moonrock, because in the streets, and he ended up
His name
dying.
was Moonrock in the streets. Okay,
No, because I used to have business and work in an area where there's like a Hispanic and black
that was
neighborhoods.
that was his gang name. Okay,
Yeah, his
gotcha.
street name. But I'm saying that he was a nice kid. Got me rest in peace. When I saw that, I said, if that idiot, that bitch, had to shut her mouth up, nothing happened. She's not violated. The guy did not touch her anywhere near. It wasn't very bad to her. He flirted with her. The guy could have been alive. That guy could have been on his way, and everybody's happy, and the neighborhood is safe. The police did not need to get involved. Ambulances would never have come. And
I was with you, but now I can't be with you anymore because
hold on,
because
because I want to be able to address that super specifically because like we're getting fucking lost in the source.
Let me get this out, and then you can. Okay,
this is my show now.
Oh
Chris,
my gosh. He took it over.
I don't want to mute
Those
you,
British,
but I will.
He's colonized us. Go ahead.
I don't want to mute you, but I will. But let me tell you this, Omar. That's not the woman's fault. That's the man's fault. The man had the choice how to react to that information. We can't blame women for reacting poorly. Now, I'm with you. I'm with you in the sense that,
information.
Yeah, you don't need to go share everything with your significant other. You don't. But no, the issue isn't the woman in this case. The issue is the guy who decided to go out and beat someone up or try to.
You're cutting off. You're cutting off. You hear him?
Chris, you're roboting.
He's so upset and mad at us. He's gonna.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Wick. Let me just get this through. Wick.
Yeah, Chris, you're roboting. I don't know what to tell you.
There was not this girl. Her name is Jasmine. I still remember their name. It was not necessary to go tell her boyfriend. Her boyfriend is in the neighborhood. He's a gang member. The guy is not even from the neighborhood. He was visiting. If she had just took the elevator, get off her floor, he got off his floor, nothing happened. Her boyfriend would still be alive. The police department would not have to come. The taxpayers would never lost. The taxpayers.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, $20,000 in the morgue.
Okay, right. Fuck. Before my internet starts cutting out again.
Sorry.
If you want for the point to stand on its own, that like we are all in agreement that you don't need to share every single detail of your life, then you would first need to find me someone who thinks that you do. Because like we've gotten to this point because I said that I shared I shared a story with my girlfriend about how I was getting hit on and I didn't even realize and we laughed about it. No, hold on. Necessity isn't how you make decisions in a relationship. No one here is saying that you should share every single bit of the story.
Yourself. That's what it is. I'm going to tell you.
You do understand in the story. I didn't know I was being hit on until like she made me aware of that fact.
You told your significant other you wanted to tell her either for two things. You wanted to feel good or you wanted to feel like you are
I was
getting hit.
giving her an update
That,
on
no,
my
no,
day.
that you are getting hit by other women to create this action or this scenario that you are wanted by other females. It's not necessary. That's information that you don't need to share with anybody. You
So
understand?
the issue, sure, but the issue that you're having is that like all of your psychoanalysis hinges on the thing that you have like an incredibly rigid sort of view on how men and women interact, which
Yep.
I don't share, nor does my girlfriend. Like when we share what we're going through during the day, when I shared the story of like what happened on the tram, that I didn't have like a 3,000 IQ plan on the back of my head that because I earn less than she does, so she is in a way the primary breadwinner, I need to create an illusion in her life that she knows I have the choice and she doesn't, because I'm also the masculine man who like will beat up anyone who's like even looks at her wrong. Like making decisions
I
like
didn't
that
say
in a
that.
relationship leads to like a fucked up relationship.
No, we gotta be. I'm married 20. I'm 20. What? 22 years. What I was saying. I'm not gonna beat up people. What I'm saying, like he said, if he was at the grocery store, some guy, he probably doesn't. He probably didn't even know she was married. He doesn't know. Probably he didn't know. He just thought. He talks to her. Oh, hi. How are you? You look good. I never seen you around here. That kind of talk. I don't need to know that. I don't.
Sure, but
Then
what?
when she goes to
So
the
you
grocery
Hey,
don't.
store,
$5.
I got.
No. The issue is different here. You don't need to know that, granted. So that if
Yeah.
she shared that information with you, if you say, "Hey, babe, I don't feel like I don't really want to hear about these kinds of things because it just doesn't work with me," and she then like from now onwards she doesn't give you that information, that is fucking all bueno. You've communicated effectively. You have now like dealt with an issue that would have come up again at some point in the future, presumably.
She knows.
However, that is because that is a value that you hold, and I don't want to like sit here and do armchair psychology again with like the whole insecurity thing. That just
I'm
isn't a
secure.
value that I hold particularly dear
What I want to do,
in a
what I want to do
relationship.
right now is say $5 from Testicle Johnson to say, Wick, you once said the solution to male loneliness is to make sure women are less educated. Could you elaborate on that? Why are you making things up, Testy Johnson? Why are you making things up? That is my question.
What a
You owe
name.
me another $10 for your lies. That is the lie tax. I will expect a super chat and an apology before the end of the show. I will let you guys go. I have to use the restroom real quick. But continue. I'm psychology. Let me leave you with this to discuss as you go. Right. What is the solution to well, do we think marriage is an institution we should stand at all these days? Like, has it gone the way of the dodo?
No, you
Anyway,
need
I'll be
marriage.
back.
Marriage is the institution that holds society together. We need marriage. Believe it or not, I think men should have 2, 3 wives or 4
I
wives
mean, if you've
they could
mentioned earlier
afford
that
it.
you're
If they could
Muslim,
afford
right?
it, yeah. If they could afford it, I mean, that's
Yeah,
better.
I mean, obviously, like I will disagree. Not even necessarily with like the institution of marriage. I just like generally speaking believe in like the maximum freedom of choice. So like, if you want to get married, you should be able to get married. If you want to have multiple wives and your wives are fine with you being the sole husband, then that is also bueno. I just don't like with societies that like impose uneven gender dynamics and very uneven power balances, who then say that like this is the best way to live. Because like, yeah, sure, you can have 3 wives, but like I don't know how much that is worth in a society where women aren't seen as equal.
But let me tell you first. We're gonna get to the 3 wives. Why I believe in marriage. You see, marriage is a contract. Not forget about the government. The government doesn't even have to get involved. Marriage is a contract between you and your significant other that you are committed to a lifelong relationship, which sometimes doesn't last in Western society. The reason I said it's good to have I'm for 3, 4 wives or 2 wives, because in Western society, a man will have a girlfriend in New York, in Brooklyn. These are boroughs in New York. And he has another girlfriend in Staten Island. That's another borough. And another girl in North Carolina. And he'll have these babies. They don't know each other. Maybe they could meet in the future. First of all, he has children out of wedlock and he leaves them. They are the burden on the government. These children might meet one day, marry each other. They don't even know their brothers and sisters. You understand how society is? Yo, if you could
I
afford
don't
to,
get how marriage solves that. How does marriage solve like the
because you
like
are taking,
say a child's born in wedlock, but then you divorce?
no, because let's say if I'm married to 3 women, I'm responsible for these women. They are my wives. So I know who my children are, and my children know the other children because we are one family. Because my wife will accept that. If I told my wife, listen, I want to get married, and she'll say yes. Take a little
Are
convincing.
we
Huh?
Are we discussing polygamy right now? I went to the
Polygamy,
restroom.
It's
yeah,
not
I think
polygamy.
no. What I'm saying is that it
It's
solves
one
the issue.
husband, 3 wives.
Yeah.
It's like I
That's
wouldn't.
polygamy.
You're gonna love
Yeah,
me.
sure, but if you want
I
to,
know
like,
Wick
if
is
we're
gonna,
talking about like the
Wick.
hyper red pill sense, then
Yeah,
like
yeah.
using polygamy might not be the go-to here.
But is it necessary to have 3, 4 girlfriends, or to have girlfriends, or to have one night stands and have these kids out of wedlock? You're not responsible for them. You don't educate them. You don't support them, and the government has to pick up the tab on
Yeah,
that.
but the binary is like incredibly flawed. You're assuming
One
that
more
like
thing, you
one
guys are not
individual.
okay,
No,
go
no, no.
ahead.
But hold on, Omar. You're assuming the individual has the choice. Like he is either capable of simultaneously handling
can't. I
3
can't.
wives,
I
or
can't.
he's so no, sure. But you're saying that like, or he's so incompetent, right? He's so incompetent that he will just like keep having kids out of wedlock.
Hey, how many
The guy
wives
who
could
keeps
you
having
handle,
kids
Chris?
out of how many wives could I
Yeah,
handle? I don't even
Omar
have
can
one
handle 3.
currently.
How about you?
Nah, I could handle 2. That's it.
Well, Omar can handle 2. Fair enough. That's more realistic. That's fair.
And
Chris, what do you think?
And I could support 2.
Good to know. Chris,
I can't support
my
1.
wife's gonna beat
Fair
the
enough.
daylight out of me. What I'm saying is that this is. I mean, I know you're just talking hyperbolically, whatever the words are. What I'm saying is that sometimes people say, no, you can't have 2 wives. You guys are backward in Arabia. Oh, you can't have 3 wives. Yeah, but you have 3 girlfriends.
No, it's fuck.
Huh?
It's not that,
Huh?
Omar. It's not that
go
you
to the
can't have
club,
3
you go to the club,
wives.
you get drunk, and you whip it out in the bathroom, and there's a child being born over there, and you're like, oh, you can't have that.
Sansel, thank you for the raid of 8 new wickers in chat. Thank you.
Guys,
I can handle plenty of
Omar,
wife raids.
Tell
Okay.
Wick we have to make the show weekly, guys. If not, you're not gonna support the channel.
Yeah, you guys gotta. And if you guys like this show, okay, hit that like button. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Twitch or Kick, hit the follow. Subscribe to the channel. Throw some bits, throw some subs, throw some super chats. Financial support's what's gonna make or break us. So yeah, keep giving me money.
Support him.
Yeah, if I can just jump in for the 3 girlfriends, the 3 wives. It's fuck. The problem. The problem isn't that I don't have a problem with any of that. The issue is that generally speaking, when it comes to like this like hyper narrow view of 1 husband, 3 wives, is that it tends to come from people who are fetishizing the culture of a place that doesn't consider women to be equal. Now, if there is a case in the Western world, let's just like create a fucking utopia scenario in our head where the women, like all of it is fucking bueno as far as like all the ethics go, and the 3 women decide that, you know what, Omar, I fuck with you so much that like 3 of us want to be with you. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But it seems like there is a huge fucking trend where with our freedoms in the Western world and with our sensibilities, women just aren't wanting to do that.
They don't even want one male. The women are having sex with each other.
The vast majority of women do want one, and there is nothing of statistics or nothing that you can point to that like says that any of that is influencing like more lesbians.
In Yemen society, maybe 1% have more than 1 wife because it's a headache, and you get diabetes, you get blood pressure because they're always fighting. But the whole idea, you have to understand the framework of having more wives. They have to have separate dwellings. They have to have the same everything, and it's hard because it's a religious obligation. It's not a social obligation. If you're not able to fulfill the equalness in love, in dwelling, in luxury, whatever it is, then you are in a sin. So a lot of men avoid that. What I'm saying here, you're saying that they're not equal. You said that because we see women as not equal. You guys are not seeing women not equal because you're able to go have sex with her in a hotel or in a motel for half an hour, and that's it. You don't provide. There's no emotion to that relationship. Child born out of wedlock. You don't support that child. What are you doing?
What happens if there is no child? Are you still against Are you still against the behavior? If there is no child that comes out of it,
what is it?
If there is no child that comes as a result of it, are you still against the behavior?
I think behavior. Yeah, I think it's wrong. Listen,
yeah. Okay. So let's not harp on the child out of wedlock.
I'm not an angel. I did a lot of shit. Okay. I haven't been a good guy all my life, but because if I say that, I'm a fucking hypocrite. I'd be lying to you.
Hey, people are asking where you're from, by the way.
Me, from Yemen. It's a small country. Yemen, Arabia, next to Saudi Arabia. But we're the Mexico of Arabia. We have no money. So what I'm saying is that here, that women are cheapened by leisure sex or hookups or booty calls. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to hit all sections of our YouTube here, from the ghetto to the Beverly Hills. So, but you guys like, oh yeah, the women, they're not equal. These Arabs are backward. Look how they treat their women. Look at them. They got 2 wives, but you don't understand that these women are living a good life. They are raising children for the next generation. They are not
Yeah,
abusing.
just to be
There's no
clear, a good life
alcoholism.
that
There's
is
no,
like
huh?
incredibly. Just to be clear, I'm not saying that they aren't living good life, whatever that might mean in the context. What I mean is that there is immense societal pressure in order to sort of keep them in that general sort of relationship style and dynamics. When I'm talking about like the fact that we've rejected that in the Western world, what I mean is that if I meet a girl and we both decide that, hey, you know what, we just want to go into that hotel room and fuck, and I'm no fan of promiscuity culture, but that is two adults making a consensual decision in order to perform some kind of an action, and then we both leave having understood what we're doing. If my partner has had values instilled with her from like very fucking heavy societal judgment of, let's say, being very tradcon, then I would probably argue that, yeah, that isn't a choice that she's making as much as it was like forced into her.
Oh, I mean, I don't understand that you find out it's okay that for people just to meet and hook up and leave. I mean,
But
Wait, hold on. I don't know.
no,
I
no,
don't know what
stop,
okay or not
stop,
okay
please,
means.
Chris. I have a question for you. Like, how is that different than any kind of cultural or societal thing being instilled into you?
Yeah,
Because
sure.
yes,
So that is yeah. So that
everyone
is
is
super. Yeah,
influenced by
that's
their
super easy to
society and
answer. Yeah,
culture,
I
right?
always
So
get like
it doesn't
yeah, but that's like easy to
matter.
answer. I always get confused as shit when people
Thank you
like
for the gift
pose a
subs.
question like this on a panel and they act like all confused. Generally speaking, you'll have societies like American society. America's like a fucking excellent example to point to for this. Okay, I'm going to bring this background back up for this. America has a culture and a society where you can criticize parts of that culture and society rather freely. You might face some backlash from your peers, but generally speaking, that is going to be just from your peers, and that's for like, you're not going to end up in jail. You're not going to end up fucking murdered by the police. You're not going to end up stoned. You can go into the town square and say that, hey, I believe that you should live your life as a gay man and be happy for it. And in America, you might fucking go to like some, I don't know, Wisconsin or some shit. I don't know what's it, like a conservative area. No, I understand that you don't, but the places that we seem to be praising cultures of, and I'm not sure about Yemen specifically, do have an issue with that, because in vast majority of those, you can't be gay legally. So like, yeah, it's not that different, Wick, in the sense that your culture shapes you. But in one of those cultures, if I don't like the shaping, I can go to City Square and yell my fucking ass off about it. And in the other, I dare to do that and I get stoned.
But I was more just to clarify what I was saying. I was responding to the idea, right, that I thought I heard you say, and maybe I misheard you say, was that the reason that someone's coming from a trad background and doesn't like the one night stand, hookup, promiscuity culture was because of their religious upbringing. Or
I'm asking.
No. Just to clarify on that, so we're not confused. What I'm talking about is that, like, if all of us have backgrounds, all of us have upbringing, some of us have more tradcon parents, some of us have less tradcon parents. I'm not against instilling certain values in your children. I'm just saying that, like, if some of the values that you instill in your children is that, like, anyone who strays from this norm needs to be beaten back into it, that I have massive issue with.
I understand. I'm gonna ask you a question, guys. Here, both of you. We live in a society that, like he said, porn is right there on the phone, everything there, sexualizing. You could go into disco shop. Why with all this sexization of this society, these society are not producing, they're in decline in birth rates. And you have all this sex all around you, all this freedom to do whatever you want, to hook up and all that stuff. You're still not producing no more because the man and the woman are the same now. It's like having two mules. You know, a mule can't have babies. So, you know, it's like two mules walking around. You understand? Why do you think, Chris, that these societies are in decline with birth rates?
Oh yeah, that's like, it seems to be the case that the more economically free we become, free in the sense that like we can pursue other goals, then it seems to just be that like people don't really want to make kids. Because like it is the case that like in my current situation in life, I can bang out a little shit and it can run around like look like half me, half the person I'll probably grow to hate in 15 years. And that's okay. But like at the same time, I can't anymore do any of the things that I might otherwise want to do. Like me and my girlfriend, we have careers that we're pursuing, we have certain freedoms that we enjoy, we have things that we do that we like doing. And the more you do that in the Western world, then the less of a desire you have to have a kid. I mean, you can call it that, sure, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't exactly consider it a virtue that like you have a desire to procreate and like you need to start banging out kids as soon as possible. Especially, Omar, if your expectation is that your wife stays at home and takes care of them while you continue retaining the quality of life that you have currently.
Okay, question for Omar from Ice Beans. Okay. There is a difference between, is this a question or a statement? It's a question/statement, so bear with me. There is a difference between treating a woman like a queen, which sounds very much like the popular Muslim trope of treating their women like wrapped candies, and treating them like an equal partner. In the West, we go for treating your partner equally and not like an object.
Okay, well, what do you mean by equal? I mean, should she go out with me and wear pants and run around wherever I go? I mean, we have a social structure since the day we got married. She's a partner in everything. And wait, hold on. She's when we make decisions on our children's education, when we bought the house and all that stuff, she was a major decision maker in that area that belongs to her, in that realm that belongs to her. But my realm is the business world. I'm a provider. And when we were 18 years old, she knew what she was getting into because culturally, that's how we were raised. We function greatly. 22 years of happy marriage, no problem, no issues, living the good life of Western America's life. This country has been very good financially to us. But you see, the idea is, what's equal? What do you want me to be equal with her? What do you want us to go walk around naked outside so you guys can say we're equal? You want us to go to the beach? She wears bikini and I wear shorts. What's equal to you guys?
Yeah, sure. So if I was to steal man what the chat is asking, if I imagine that they're like after my own heart, then equal, generally speaking, means that they have like a freedom to choose the values that they want to go through life with, and then those values either will or will not align with yours, and then at that point you will decide if
marriage. If she has different values, then we are two separate entities. Then we can't have a marriage. If we have the reason that we,
it's not about Omar. It's not about having different values to you. No, because you misunderstood what I'm saying. It's not about having different values to you. It's about having different.
The reason we're together is she could like Trump and I could like Biden. It doesn't make no sense. I don't know what you wanted to do, but the reason that we're together is because we have the same values. We're a partner. We see life the same way.
Again, it's not. That's not what it means. It's not about you two having the same values. It's the idea that women can have different values.
Okay, give
like
me advice.
One woman can have different values to another woman, to a third woman, to a fourth woman.
What do you want me to give my wife that she's missing that you think she needs?
So you can have, no. It's again. I'm just explaining like what
do you want to give to Omar's? No. Answer the question, Chris. What do you want to give to Omar's wife?
What do you want me to give her?
What do I want to give to you? I don't understand the question.
What do you want to
What do you think Omar's wife? Let me translate.
If the two of you speak at once, I'm sure I'm going to understand.
Let me translate. Okay. So, what do you think that Omar's wife lacks? That you think that she is missing? That you think she needs or should need? That she does not have, that Omar is not giving to her?
I have no fucking idea about Omar's wife. That wasn't to do. That had nothing to do with the question. No, Omar, because you didn't. Yeah, because you've again, like I was saying for the third time, you misunderstood what equal means. There is no running away. The question makes no sense. Equal in the context means that you can have 3 women with different values and 3 guys with different values, and they will choose who they want to have as their partner in terms of who aligns with their values. So me and my girlfriend have relatively similar values, right?
Thank you. Wick, that's me.
Omar, we're not talking about you specifically. I understand you're on the panel, but we're talking about cultures, broadly speaking.
The guy who asked the question, he said that they need to be equal. I said, what do you want me to do to make her equal? What do you want me to do that she's not enjoying right now? She doesn't have to worry about bills. She doesn't have to financially. She doesn't have to worry about anything. Her only worry is that the children are dressed good. Children are being raised good as good citizens. They will be able to function as good citizens when they get out in the world. She provides for me food, dinner, we eat, and we enjoy our life. We go out in the car once in a while. We go to the park. We go to. I mean, what do you want me to do? You want me to put on
do you understand? Yeah, do you understand? I'll ask a clarifier, one quick clarifier, and then if we keep rambling about this, I'll jump off of this.
That's what I'm saying. We gotta wrap this.
Do you, Omar? Do you understand the difference between like your individual relationship and like the culture that we're talking about, broadly speaking? So like you have a wife that's like a traditional, and that is a-okay. The criticism is when the wife has to be traditional.
Oh, she doesn't have to be to do. If she doesn't have to, she don't have to marry me. She knew who I am when she got married to me.
Sure, so that is your individual
She
thing.
could
I'm
have said,
talking about like the
Omar. She could have
culture
said,
now.
Omar, I don't think you're good for me. You're old fashioned. You believe in
Okay,
this
so
and stuff.
yeah, but you can.
I'm not going to
So you
force
don't
her.
understand.
I mean, why would I force her to marry? If we don't share the same values, then we don't have a marriage.
Right,
We
yeah,
don't have
sure,
we
but
don't
you're
have a
not answering the
partnership.
question.
What's the question? Give it to me.
I'm asking you if you understand the difference between your individual relationship and the culture in which women are expected to be trad cunts. If like you understand that I can levy criticism at a culture that is raising women to specifically suit to the traditional life,
Isn't
but
that
that doesn't
good?
mean that every single woman is not going to find appeal in traditional life.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the. I mean, this is where we were raised. I mean, what do you want me to do? Your Western society's idea of freedom is to have the women go out in bikinis outside on the beach and show everybody her ass, or go out to dance in the weekend without her husband, get drunk. You don't know if she got laid or not. Oh, have a fight outside because everybody's drunk. Your husband and the wife are drunk. What do you want me to do? I
Hey,
am.
if Wick is
I am.
willing, if
I
Wick
am.
would want, if Wick
I
was
am.
willing to
I
do
am.
this, we can pull up the Pornhub searches based on geography, and you can
Hold on,
I
find
can do
out
that.
what Islamic
Okay,
countries are
10
going
bucks,
it
for.
10
doesn't
Okay.
bucks.
matter. I'm not defending. I'm
10 bucks,
defending myself. I'm the ideal. Hold on. Okay.
$10
Okay.
from
Good.
Testicle Johnson to say, I apologize for lying about you, Wick. On a more serious note, Omar has made a lot of good points tonight. You and Chris could learn a thing or two from his
Thank
wisdom
you.
gained through his life experience.
See, I'm winning
Thank you for
here.
the $10. I will say, I hate to cut this short, but I do have another appointment
Yes.
that I have to get to tonight. Gang, if you've liked this show, this was our first time doing this, okay, together. But will it be our last? That depends on you. That depends on you, audience. If
Oh,
you like this content, if you like what we do, send me some money, right? Bits,
send
subs,
them
super
some money.
chats, like, comment on the video, all these things. Don't go anywhere while this segment might be ending, and I
Hold
want to give
on.
each of these.
Wait.
Yeah, I want to give you an outro. I'll give you an outro. Don't get me wrong. But I just want to say in about 10 to 15 minutes, Vosh might be late. We are going to have Vosh on to moderate a debate where I will be joining in. Me, Lonerbox, and Professor Meat will be fighting with President Sunday, Doe, and Sirius about political violence versus nonviolence. Should be interesting. Should be fun. Omar, what you got for us at the
First
end?
of all, I want to tell Chris. I hope I have not said something you think is personal to you. I think
It's okay. You don't have to worry about that.
It's just we just debated. Sometimes it gets a little heated. It's okay, but I still have much respect for you as a person and whatever you choose. At the end of the day, what I'm saying is that society should have rail guards, whatever you want to call them, and men or women. I'm gonna say this: they're not equal. I'm gonna say that they're not equal in the sense of a male and female relationship. The man has to be the dominant in the relationship. Well, and I don't mean dominant as in bad or beat up, and dominant as being the protector, the provider, the one she could looks at and feels good that she's protected. That even you understand, no matter how much money women make, women are social creatures. They're emotional creatures. They need relationship and they need to be loved. Men are hunter gatherers. You understand? They are very rigid, unloyal, and they do a lot of things. Anyway, at the end of the day, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Wick, I hope you're gonna have me next week and try to work this thing
No?
out. Maybe it's gonna
Yeah,
succeed.
we'll get the format, gang.
All right.
We'll talk after this,
All right.
obviously, on these things. But for now, gang, Chris, where can people find you?
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Chris Speaks. I go by, well, no, my name is Chris. I go by Chris Speaks. It's Chris is spelled Krys. You can find me predominantly on Twitch. I'll be sure to plug my shit in Wix chat in a second anyway. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the conversation, genuinely. Thank you for having me on. It was fun. I hope that next time you're doing this Wik, you advertise for it a little bit, okay? Because I know that you're hyped for your Vorse shit and you've left your boy behind. But it's okay. It is what it is. I understand how it goes. And yeah, I would just say just to wrap up the whole thing, I've heard a lot of criticisms towards where masculinity is at currently, and a lot of sympathy for sort of men's issues that I genuinely feel for. But then that was followed by a lot of prescriptions that I believe would make the whole situation worse by sort of enforcing strict gender roles that are just like holding us back. And yeah, that's kind of it from me. If you guys enjoyed me, find my Twitch, click that follow button, and I'll see you again quite soon.
I shouted it out
too. I followed him.
Yeah, I
just like
shouted
you
it out in the
today.
channel, gang. Give him a follow. He's a great guy. It was fun. I hope you enjoyed it. But for now, I'm going to say bye to both of you. So, adieu, Omar. I'll see you next week. And Chris, adieu as well. I'll see you when I see you. Bye.
All right.
Friday panel.
Okay, stay healthy, guys.
Asking him. Oh, fucking hell. How are you guys doing? It is. Holy fuck, it's 2 a.m.